the responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Shifrell, you were originally charged with driving while intoxicated. Your attorney and the state have appeared to tell me now that you have made an agreement on a plea. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Then before we accept the plea, I have to make sure that you know and understand you have a plethora of rights and protections in our system of justice. The first thing is you have a right to remain silent. It means you don't have to say anything, no statement. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit written paperwork that has your signature, especially papers where you can admit or confess wrongdoing. You have a right to a jury trial. That means you and your attorney in our system participating with the state could select 6 people, 6 citizens from a pool of disinterested citizens to hear the entire trial. They would have the responsibility of deciding whether you've been found not guilty or whether you have been proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. That's the right to a jury trial. If you go to trial, you have the right to confront witnesses. That means you and your attorney could, any witness that the state would submit to try and prove you're guilty, you and your attorney would have the right to question, cross-examine, or challenge. That's called the right to confront. You also, when all is said and done, the dust is settled, you would have the right to appeal. That means you or your attorney or the two of you together could demand that a higher court review the official record in this proceeding being prepared by the court reporter, the evidence in this case, and you would demand that the higher court respond or rule on any legal challenges you've got. I would caution you that the right to appeal is a little bit difficult to comply with. You have to have certain paperwork, information, and including you have specific time limitations. That's the right to appeal. Then you and the state in your case have a right to demand that this proceeding be done in the open public courtroom. Because of the COVID pandemic, we're not doing that. And in order for you to proceed in this matter, you had to have reviewed a document that's titled, it identifies you by name, case number, and court number, and it is titled Defendant's Consent to Video Conference, which is how we're doing this. We call it Zoom, but that's the official word is video conference. Now, do you understand these rights that I have discussed with you briefly?
I do, Your Honor.
And there are documents that you have signed that are part of this proceeding, this record. Those documents, did you review them with your attorney before you signed them?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any question about those documents or the rights included therein?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. All right. Now, you were originally charged with DWI. Among the documents that we're going to discuss in this proceeding, the first one, or the primary one that I will discuss with you, is one that identifies you, and then it is titled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. That document in writing has you acknowledge that you're aware of the rights that we have talked about verbally, but now they're in writing. It also includes information and cautions that include the fact that any deal that you made with the state is not binding on me. And ultimately, as the judge, I have the authority and responsibility to say yes or no on your deal. I also have the authority and responsibility to establish your punishment and guidelines or conditions for probation. That document includes all kinds of information and questions. Did you understand that document?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
All right, there's another document that's a certification that I do as a judge. it tells you, it is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. That document tells you in writing that because you are making a deal, as part of the deal, you're also giving up the right to appeal. Did you clearly understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Now, you've had the blessing of some good work by Mr. DeWalt, and it's going to get you into what's called obstruction. It's going to take you out of the DWI. State, am I correct? He's going to get deferred?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
All right. Part of this plea is that you're going to get what's called deferred adjudication. You'll be entering a plea that by law allows me to find you guilty and convict you here and now. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to honor the agreement that you're making. And the essence is that you are telling me by your written application that you want deferred adjudication. You understand that it requires you to live up to 100%, every bit of the conditions of supervision. And if you do that, first of all, I will not find you guilty. And secondly, if you live up to every bit of the conditions, then the case of obstruction will be dismissed, and under Texas law, you're not convicted. It is critical that you know and understand that if you violate, either by failing or refusing to live up to 100%, then the state can ask me to give you notice, bring you in for a hearing, and if, in my opinion, under the law, it is sufficient, I can convict you. And that means that it'll follow you the rest of your life. In addition, you'll be subject to a punishment of the full range of punishment for obstruction, which is a fine from $0 to $2,000 and jail from 0 days to 180 days. Is that all clear to you, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
I know you've discussed it with Mr. DeWalt, but I'm putting it on the record that we've also discussed it here. At this point, do you have any questions, sir?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
All right, state, you have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would move to amend the information to add count 2 of obstruction, and then would waive count 1 and proceed solely on count 2.
No objections, Your Honor.
In addition, for the record, Mr. DeWalt, you're waiving the 10-day notice of amendment?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Schiffer. What that means is you're no longer charged with DWI. It is now a charge of obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway. I grant that motion, and that is now the reality. To the charge of obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway, how do you plead, sir?
No contest?
A no contest plea in this court is considered a guilty plea, and it's sufficient for me to find you guilty here and now. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right. Now, I accept your plea of no contest. Based on your plea of no contest and the evidence, I find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not. State, recite for us on the record what is the agreement that the state and the defense have agreed on punishment.
Yes, Your Honor, the agreement is for 1 year deferred adjudication, $500 fine plus court costs, 48 hours community service, DWI education, victim impact panel, TAP evaluation, and ignition interlock for half the term.
Mr. Schifferl, is this your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Mr. DeWalt, is this your understanding of the agreement?
It is, Your Honor. I've discussed it with the state, and one of Mr. Schifferl's, in his employment, he travels to and from Canada. And so you have allowed him to have a travel permit before. I might be requesting one again, but this agreement reflects what we've negotiated, and we'd ask you follow it.
Are there any other conditions that have not been recited?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Mr. Schifferl, tell me how you earn a living.
I am a consultant in bone research. So I travel throughout the United States, Canada, and actually I have a client down in Tobago, of all places. So I do consulting with a CT scanner, and it's all research dealing with bone, muscle. Could be anything from a mouse to any human state, whether it be pediatric work or elderly work or just normals.
All right. And what is your earnings, sir? Income?
Well, according to the IRS, I make 60,000 a year, but I am an S corp, so there's probably closer to $100,000 a year.
All right, sir. All right. In essence, I approve the agreement on punishment. However, I will make some changes. With your income, your fine will be $1,000, not $500. And I realize it's a significant change, but it's in accordance with your ability to pay. We have people that make probably less than 20% of what you make, and they're fined $500. The 48 hours of community service, I approve. You will complete a DWI education program, the Victim Impact Panel. You're to submit to a TAP evaluation, and the recommendations will be subject to my approval. You will have ignition interlock installed in your vehicle for a continuous 6 months. You will perform 48 hours of community service restitution. The court grants you the free right to travel in accordance with your employment. You will, at the very least, do one ETG. That's a test for alcohol a month. Your supervisory fee will be $60 a month. Are there any questions? And by the way, sir, because I have given you a punishment that's greater than what you agreed to, the law allows you to start all over again if you so choose, or you can choose to accept the increases that I have made. That is your call. You can tell me now or tell me later.
That's fine, Your Honor. I accept your changes.
All right. Mr. DeWalt, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Schifferl, as I said a while ago, you're blessed that you got the help of a good lawyer. Let me just say to you, sir, you're obviously highly educated and you're important to our state and nation, actually internationally, since you're doing it in other countries too. Be extra careful, because the worst thing that could happen to you is that you drink and drive and you kill some innocent person. That would put you in prison for 20 years, or at least make you eligible for it. And in lots of cases, when that happens, people do the full 20 years. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Any questions?
No.
State questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Now, you are to appear in the offices of County Court at law number 5 within 1 week. You need to have, by law, your thumbprints placed on some of these documents. It's required. And you will stick around right now and meet with Ms. Maricela Luna. she's going to get you started on the probation program. Probation will read to you each and every of the conditions of supervision that you're going to have. And you will sign those and they will put a copy in your hands. All right, that concludes this particular hearing.